stewardship of nature doesn't only require knowledge and science, it also requires a certain moral posture. And that moral posture is the duty of each person to protect and preserve the environment as a legacy for future generations.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness there at the launch of the Reforestation, Ecological Enhancement and Landscape Framework Relief Initiative. The program was developed as a strategic approach to restoring the island's forestry cover post-Hurricane Melissa. But more on that later. Hi there, welcome to this Sunday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. We have a wonderful show packaged just for you. More after this message.
Hey there, I'm Landy, your friendly guide to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. Today we'll be navigating our page with some frequently asked questions.
Hey Landy, what's NLA Connect?
Hey there. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly online platform that's available 24/7 to customers, where they can submit various requests about land-related matters.
Hi Landy, how do I submit a request to NLA Connect?
Hi customer. Once on the platform, click Request and fill out the form with your details. Choose the relevant division and select the type of request. Pick your preferred response method, review, and consent to the privacy notice. Then submit. You will receive a case number to track your request.
Tell me something, Landy. Can you submit more than one request at a time?
No, you can only submit one request type at a time. Once that case is closed, feel free to send in another.
Landy, am I able to track my request?
Yes. To track your request status, click the Status tab, enter your email or case number, verify with the code sent to your email, and then view updates ranging from submitted to closed.
How does the NLA treat my data?
Our privacy policy is in accordance with the Data Protection Act 2020. As a result, some of the technical measures used to protect your data includes firewalls, encryptions, and regular system updates. Also, our employees are only provided with your information on a need-to-know basis. Still have questions? Visit www.nla.gov.jm. Go to Applications, select NLA Connect, and check out our FAQs tab for more information. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
With primary exit profile PEP season approaching, the pressure is on for students aiming for top schools and parents hoping to see them succeed. But while preparation is key, so too is keeping calm. In this week's episode of Get the Facts, we share practical tips to help both parents and children get ready, manage the stress, and approach their exams with confidence and balance. Let's join the conversation.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on the latest topics. I'm Theodore Hedry. As students prepare for the PEP examinations, many parents and teachers are looking for the right ways to offer support. Today we'll be sharing practical tips and guidance to help students stay focused, confident, and ready for exam day. With us is Mrs. Maria Ho-Young, Acting Deputy Chief Education Officer for the Exam and Assessment Administration Services Branch of the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information. Welcome to Get the Facts, Mrs. Ho-Young.
Thank you for having me, Theodore.
All right, let's jump right into getting some facts. Now, I'd like to take this first moment to define PEP again.
All right.
And tell the public why there is a PEP.
All right. So the acronym PEP stands for the Primary Exit Profile.
Right.
And this is a national examination that is administered at 3 different checkpoints in the primary level education of students at the end of grade 4, at the end of grade 5, and at the end of grade 6. The results from these assessments are compiled to form the profile for the student that is used to identify strengths, their weaknesses as well as used for placement in a high school as they transition to the secondary level of education.
So a distributed assessment that comes together to form an overall picture.
An overall picture of the students' academic capabilities.
Right. So heading into final exam for grade 6 right now, we did promise them tips and guidance. So let's start with that now. What should students be focusing on? Should they be trying to remember everything, or should they be focusing on like weak areas?
I would suggest a two-pronged approach, right? Under the guidance of their teachers, of course.
Right.
So at this point, we're a few weeks away from the examination. The teachers should pretty much be completed with the coverage of the curriculum, the units. The assessment covers terms 1 and the units 1 and 2 in term 2. So teachers should pretty much have completed their teaching and learning activities. So a complete revision, I would say it's something that teachers could do. However, they have to be targeted in how they do it. So, for example, in mathematics, it's comprised of many different units or topics, right? One of the strategies teachers could do is take each topic and have students practice questions at varying levels of complexity. So let's take, for example, sets.
Right.
That's a topic in the grade 6 mathematics, sets.
Yeah, I remember sets.
Right. So the teacher now, having looked at the objectives, can develop a series of questions that target different levels, low level of thinking, medium level, high level of thinking. And in so doing, he or she is able to pinpoint, are there specific weaknesses based on how the students are responding.
So go through the whole thing,
right,
and then look at what the responses show, right, and then target.
And then target it.
Okay.
Of course, you couple that also with a full suite of assessment in terms of practice, meaning you do the mix, the ministry issued to schools, some test preparation publications that comprises a full test that the students will be sitting. So the teachers can draw on that as a sort of arsenal. They can model questions from that and present to students as a whole. So while they're still getting the discrete practice in the different areas, they're still understanding what the full assessment will come together and look like for them.
Got it. Now, I mean, we've not done this massive one-time exam. We've moved away from that with PEP, right? It's distributed, as you mentioned, 4, 5, and 6. But exams are exams.
Exams are exams.
And children feel stressed. Parents feel stressed. Now, what's your advice to stop children going into that exam being burnt out, overstressed? Like, what do you say to that? How can they avoid that?
I agree with you, Theodore. Burnout is real. And the burnout comes because of emotional exhaustion, mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion too. So there are different approaches that we have to take, especially with our younger children. They're 10 to 12 years old. Right. And we have to cater to the whole being. One of the things I discourage is the overconsumption of too much practice. So the entire school day should not be spent on just practicing for exam. You have to allow for breaks. Think about us as adults. We work extended hours, and then we need an outlet at some point. At some point, right? Whether it's just to chill on our phones, watch a movie or something, we still have to allow for our students to have that outlet. So we do have instances where, for example, teachers will cut lunch time or cut break time. That is something that we discourage highly. The students still have to be engaged in their regular routine as much as is possible. One of the things I recommend is that for every hour and a half of cognitive work, you want to allow for a 30-minute break after. And the break could be doing something such as art, music, computer, some reading, just something that pulls them away from that intense preparatory activity.
And that structure, as we move to our break, that structure helps to decrease the anxiousness, give them that sort of normalcy, even though they're heading into
the normalcy, and allow them to still play. I know we like to think that, they're older now, they're transitioning to high school. Children need to play. They need to be with their friends. We're social beings. So we still need to allow that sort of environment, that level of normalcy, that they understand that there is an end goal, but the pressures around me is not so much where I will feel burnt out. Sleep is important, I have to add.
Yes, no
very,
cramming
very
all night.
important. No all night studying. We're not studying for a PhD or a master's level. It's fine. They need to get their 8 to 10 hours of sleep.
Right, so early to bed, early to rise, fresh and ready.
Exactly.
For the assessment. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll continue the discussion with Mrs. Maria Ho-Young, Acting Deputy Chief Education Officer at the Exam and Assessment Administration Services branch of the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information when we return.
A lot of times when we're feeding our children, we associate them with snacks and juices. But we have to remember that they're human beings, they're growing, and they need wholesome foods. So whatever it is that you put in, that is what you will get out. Food is fuel for the body and the mind. So if you're putting in garbage, garbage is going to come out. I know it's frustrating as parents because we just want the children to eat, but sometimes we need to dig a little bit deeper. Children shouldn't be having more than 6 teaspoons of sugar per day. So 6 4 is 24, that's about 24 grams of sugar. So if you look at the nutrition facts label, you'll realize that most of these box of juices that we're giving the children are excessive in terms of the sugar that they're consuming. And then we wonder why the children won't sit and stay still. And I mean, even with the snacks that we're giving them, a lot of them are empty calories. So it has a lot of salt and fat and coloring, and there are issues with the coloring as well. So we want to ensure that we take away a lot of those excessive juices. I feel that we think children have to have juice, and that's a big misnomer. They really don't need juice. Water is just fine. As the adults that have the handle, let us do as best as we can to encourage a healthy lifestyle in the children.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We are continuing our discussion with Maria Ho-Young, Acting Deputy Chief Education Officer, Exam and Assessment Administration Services branch at the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. Lady Ho-Young, we didn't quite cover some tips for the teachers. You have any tips for the teachers?
I have some tips for the teachers.
Let's hear them.
All right, so as the teachers engage their students in exam preparatory strategies, one of the things I would recommend is that the teacher, you want to expose the students to different exam taking strategies, right? So you want to emphasize to them the importance of reading through the questions carefully, underlining keywords, right? How to go about selecting their options. So of course, there's one correct answer, teaching them strategies of how to eliminate the obvious ones, and then, coming down to 2 or so, and then making that determination, checking back. For mathematics, sometimes one of the strategies that's best to use is to work through each of the options and then checking it against what was asked to ensure that the answer you have selected is indeed correct. Or boys in particular like to rush through, right? So as a teacher, you want to encourage all students, but specifically the boys, to take their time. It's not a race.
And you have enough time.
And they have enough time to complete their assessment. As teachers, we want to encourage them that they have a responsibility to the students in terms of their psychology surrounding how they, go into that exam room. Remove as much fear as possible.
Right.
Build them up with positivity so that they know that, listen, this is something that I can do. The invigilators are there to support them. So, of course, as teachers, you want to encourage them that where they have questions, don't be afraid to raise their hand and get some assistance.
So the teacher's role goes beyond just giving them the knowledge into giving them the approach.
Exactly.
Right.
And putting them in that mindset where, they feel that they can achieve.
Right. So we've been speaking heavily about the teachers. And somebody might imagine that the teachers are the only ones who need to be working in this moment, the teachers and the students. Talk to us about the parents.
Oh my, the parents.
What is mommy and daddy supposed to be doing?
Mommy and daddy are so critical to this whole process. The parents, primarily, I would say their role is that of supporter.
At home?
At home,
Okay.
right? We don't want them to take on the role as teacher. Teacher is doing that in the day. And by support, I mean they're ensuring that the children are getting their balanced meals, right? We can't take it for granted. The children are operating on a schedule. They're going to bed on time. When homework and revision activities come, they're not being helicopter parents and hovering over, allowing the child that space to complete their assignments, checking in with them. A very important feature at this time leading up to the exam that parents should do is a mental check-in, not necessarily around the exam, but just general well-being.
How are you doing?
How are you doing? How was your day? What was the best part of your day today? What did you not like about today? Read their body language, because if you see where they're going into a space where they're down and so on, you as parents, your job is to pull them out, build them up, and be that supportive element for them in their lives.
What happens if, for the assessment, child is sick, demonstrably sick, and they miss it? What happens?
All right, so for the grade 6 examination, if the child is in a position where they just are not able to do the examination, right? It is not sufficient for the parent to just say, we're not sending it to school, and they leave it at that. Communication is going to be key.
Communication with who?
So the parent is to communicate with the principal immediately.
Right.
Immediately. Let them know this is the situation, the extent of the illness, and I'm going to say documentary evidence will be required. It's not sufficient for us to just say, okay, mommy said Theodore is sick, right? We will need evidence from a medical professional in the form of a medical certificate.
Right.
So parents are encouraged that if the child is in a state where they're really, really sick, bring them to the doctor and get that medical certificate, right? Communicate with their principal immediately or as soon as possible. The principal will in turn communicate with the Ministry of Education, and then we will seek the guidance. We will request the evidence for the reason for absence, and then a committee is in place to review those.
So case by case.
Case by case.
There will be some sort of resolution.
Right. And I should also quickly add, though, there have been cases where children come to school and they do fall ill at school. We're able to, through communication, isolate them, put them in a room. Chicken pox, for example, doesn't stop children from doing the examination.
Right.
We isolate them, and we have rules and regulations how that is administered.
Got it.
But if they come to school and they fall ill, they're able to do a part of the paper or so, and that's something that will go in our report to us at the ministry, and we review on a case-by-case situation.
Got it. We're almost out of time.
Oh, wow.
So we have one more thing I want you to tell us. After the exams are completed, what do we expect?
All right, so after exams are completed, it's processed by the Ministry of Education. Results typically come out in the 3rd week of June. Since 2020, results have been released online, so parents have access. These current grade 6 students' parents, they should already have their accounts. So I'm going to encourage parents to, if you have not accessed grade 4 and 5 results previously, contact your school to get information on how to activate your account, so that when grade 6 results are released, you're not feeling pressure to say you don't have access to the results.
Got it, got it. Here in the final seconds of this interview, what is your final word to the parents, the teachers, and there's some intersection between those two, and the students who are watching?
I want to speak more specifically to the children of Jamaica, those children who will be doing their grade 6 PEP examinations. I want you to believe in yourself, children. You are smart, you are brave, you can do hard things, and you will get through this, all right? Remove from your psyche negative words such as what if and but and failure, and replace it with positive thoughts. You got this.
You got this. Thank you for joining us, Mrs. Ho Young, and thank you for watching. This has been Get the Facts. Until next time, take care.
From From sunrise on the beach to sunsets in the hills, Jamaica is more than a place. It's a vibe. It's the rhythm in our music, the flavor in our food, and the pride in our people. It's how we celebrate life. Bold, proud, and full of energy. From yard to abroad, once you feel it, you know Jamaica is a vibe. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it proud. Let's keep it Jamaican, because Jamaica is a vibe.
After the damage left by Hurricane Melissa, the importance of rebuilding Jamaica's forests has never been clearer. Through initiatives like Relief and the National Tree Planting Initiative 2.0, the government is stepping up efforts to restore what was lost. In this next feature, we look at why reforestation matters now more than ever and how these programs are helping to grow Jamaica's green future.
As we continue to examine the impact of Hurricane Melissa, it is important to assess the country's forestry sector. The devastation of Jamaica's forests, particularly in areas like Lower River Trelawney, where I'm standing, is a sobering reminder that hurricanes do not only destroy our homes and infrastructure, they also dismantle our natural resources that help to protect us all. Prior to Hurricane Melissa, data collected up to 2023 by the Forestry Department revealed that the forest cover in Jamaica had a steady and remarkable increase of up to 7% over the years. What that meant was that 47% of the land of wood and water was covered by forest. But with the passage of Hurricane Melissa, Jamaica's forests, our first and most formidable line of defense against flooding, landslides, drought, and biodiversity loss, were significantly affected. The event called for a thorough assessment conducted by the Forestry Department.
The findings confirmed that Hurricane Melissa carved a west to northwest corridor of destruction across Jamaica, with western, central, and parts of northern parishes bearing the brunt of the damage. In several forests, Mr. Speaker, particularly those on steep terrain and shallow soils, damage levels reached between 76 and 100%. This level of destruction was characterized by complete canopy loss, uprooted mature trees, fractured trunks, and slope instability.
The evidence also lies in this forest reserve in Low River.
We have lost majority of our mature trees. And in some areas like this forest that we're in, it has a riparian buffer, meaning that we have trees that protects the river. And this is very important, not only to the Forestry Department, but to the communities surrounding this forest reserve, because that is where they get water, both for their domestic use and also for irrigation, because this is a farming community.
About 70% of the mature trees in Low River were lost. These were primarily made up of Caribbean pine that is not native to the area, but is planted for the lumber industry. More native trees are needed.
Due to the growing condition or the texture of the pine itself, it's easily damaged by the hurricane force winds. As you can see, several toppled trees, broken trees, damaged trees from that impact. We're going into more native species, blue marwood, Spanish Jamaican mahogany, to help reduce such impact in the future. That in the event that there's another Category 5 hurricane, we will not see such devastation around us, but we'll have trees more intact to continue protecting our ecosystem. As you can see, we are walking on these kind of different degrees of slopes, and we know that once we remove the tree cover, then we expect soil erosion to take place. So once we have more native trees in the area, then we can stand a better chance of maintaining our slopes, ensuring that our waterways are not polluted and that the community can still access potable water from the natural springs in the area.
But the challenges did not stop there. This forest reserve in Low River is government-owned, and with the work of organizations like the Forestry Department, reforestation and preservation works will always happen. However, Private landowners also need to join the fight by replanting for the sustenance of all, not just for their private, individual, and immediate benefits. That also means being mindful of where animals are placed and are allowed to roam.
For a newly planted plantation, they will eat the seedlings, especially with bloomer. That's why we use our the site information to determine what we plant. If there's animal in the area, we can't plant bloomer. We plant Jamaica mahogany, bitter damsel, those things that they don't feed on, right? So for the bigger ones, first we'll tie the animal on the trees. The rope will girdle the tree. So remove the bark from the tree, squeeze it, damage it, so no flow of nutrients, the plants die a couple years on the line.
Ceasing human activities such as these will go a far way as the Forestry Department continues the rebuilding process, especially in areas where the damage is felt most.
It is sobering to note that disturbed broadleaf forests were hardest hit, with over 42,000 hectares degraded, accounting for more than 30% of all recorded damage. Secondary forest areas of regeneration from anthropogenic damage followed closely, with our urban tree cover declined by 26%.
Our mangroves too suffered degradation.
The data confirms that approximately 23% of our mangrove forests sustained damage, primarily from wind throw, sediment displaced, and prolonged inundation. The key mangrove complexes in Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland experienced a 90% of trees showing evidence of uprooting, canopy loss, and severe defoliation.
These structural changes have direct implications for shoreline protection, nursery habitat for fish and invertebrates, and coastal carbon stocks.
This level of forest loss has real, immediate, and potentially catastrophic consequences.
Consequences include increased water insecurity and flood and landslide risk. It also undermines biodiversity and threatens years of public investment in reforestation, long-term climate resilience, and environmental stewardship. But with the Forestry Department's reforestation, ecological enhancement, and landscape framework, Operation Relief, along with the National Tree Planting Initiative, reforestation efforts have begun.
Reforestation is not just replacing what was lost. It is restoring balance, protecting our watersheds, preventing landslides, supporting livelihoods, and safeguarding future generations from the impact of climate change. Without deliberate and sustained tree planting efforts, the damage left behind could leave our island even more exposed when the next storm comes.
And everyone is invited to this relieving effort.
Forest Department on its own, we cannot do it. And the forest is not just for us, it's for every Jamaican. So we welcome everybody who will come and help us to get these targets off and to help us to relieve Jamaica, help us to become green again. Because we are the land of food and water.
And we all know what they say about time, so the best time to plant a tree is today.
Our native species, we're looking at about 30 years. But Caribbean pine normally matures within 20 or less, depending on the site that it is on. So it will take some time.
But all is not lost, as some trees survived the storm and others have started their regeneration process, and with them, hope is blossoming.
As the government continues its work, we should do our part too. Rebuilding Jamaica means rebuilding its forests, because protecting our trees today is an investment in safer communities and a more resilient Jamaica tomorrow.
We've come to the end of today's show, and I do hope that you enjoyed this package. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website at jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.